2,500-year-old mystery. How the Nok Terracotta changed African art forever. Long before the castles of Europe were built, before Rome reached its glory, before the Benin Bronzes stunned the world. An African people, hidden deep in the savannas of what is now Nigeria, were creating something extraordinary. Lifelike faces in clay, frozen for 2,500 years. Their expressions calm, powerful, mysterious. Their craftsmanship rivaling anything from Greece or Egypt. But who were these master sculptors? How did their art survive for millennia? And why did their civilization vanish without a trace? Today, we unravel the 2,500-year-old mystery of the Nok Terracotta and how it forever changed African art, wealth, and legacy. Subscribe, grab your popcorn, and sit tight. This is not just a story of art. It's a journey into the heart of an ancient African civilization that reshaped history. Our story begins around 1500 BCE in the southern part of Kaduna, a lush, elevated plateau in northwest Nigeria, where savanna meets the sky. Here, fertile soils fed early farmers, rivers teemed with fish, provided clay for crafting, and carried life through the land. But beneath the earth lay a treasure that would define a civilization: iron ore. This was the cradle of the Nok civilization, Africa's first known society to master iron smelting. While much of the ancient world was still shaping tools from bronze or stone, the Nok were forging plows, weapons, and ornament from iron. This leap didn't just change their economy. It set the stage for their rise as a cultural and technological powerhouse. Historical note on wealth. In ancient civilizations, those who controlled advanced technology, be it bronze, iron, or gold, controlled wealth and power. The Nok's iron mastery was their silent currency, a foundation for prosperity that echoed through their art. The world of the Nok. Imagine a Nok village at dawn. The air is thick with the scent of wet earth and wood smoke. Farmers rise early, their iron hoes glinting in the sunlight as they tend fields of pearl millet and sorghum. In the distance, the rhythmic clang of a blacksmith's hammer shapes molten iron into tools. Women knead clay by the river, not just for pots, but for figures that carry the spirit of their people. Children play under acacia trees, unaware that their world is crafting a legacy that will outlast empires. The Nok were more than farmers or smiths. They were innovators. Their iron tools allowed them to clear forests, expand farmland, and feed a growing population. This surplus wasn't just food, it was time. Time to create, to trade, to dream. Their villages, scattered across the Jos Plateau, were hubs of activity, connected by paths that carried goods and ideas. Archaeologist Dr. Peter Brunick, who excavated Nok sites, notes, the Nok were not isolated. Their iron tools and terracotta suggest trade networks stretching hundreds of miles, perhaps to the Sahel or the Niger River. This connectivity made them wealthy, not just in goods, but in knowledge and culture. From earth to museum, the Nok civilization remained hidden for centuries until 1943. In a remote Nigerian village, tin miners struck something strange: a sculpted head buried deep in the soil. Its eyes were triangular, its features finely detailed, its expression eternal. More heads and figures followed, each unique, each telling a story in clay. Soon word spread. Archaeologists arrived, but so did looters, and the tragedy began. Archaeologist Bernard Fagg, who first studied the Nok, wrote, "Their art is the earliest known in sub-Saharan Africa. The figures are of quality and sophistication that is astonishing for their time." The discovery's impact. The discovery of the Nok Terracotta sent shockwaves through the academic world. Here was proof that sub-Saharan Africa had produced art of global significance centuries before European contact. Museums in London, Paris, and New York clamored for these artifacts, but many were acquired through illicit means. By the 1960s, the black market for Nok figures was thriving, stripping Nigeria of its heritage. Yet, the discovery also sparked pride. Nigerian scholars began to champion the Nok as evidence of Africa's ancient sophistication, challenging colonial narratives that dismissed African history. As historian Dr. Nwando Achebe writes, the Nok Terracotta is a reminder that Africa was never a dark continent. It was a cradle of innovation and beauty. The art, faces of the ancestors. The Nok Terracotta figures are not crude idols. They are works of vision and precision. Stylized eyes, often triangular. Elaborate hairstyles, braided with care. Necklaces, earrings, armlets. Clothing patterns carved into the clay. Some figures are whole bodies, seated, standing, even dancing. Others are just heads, perhaps portraits of leaders, ancestors, or deities. No two are alike. Each is a soul captured in earth. Wealth insight. In any civilization, art is more than decoration. It is stored value, a currency of culture. The Nok poured labor, skill, and identity into clay, transforming earth into eternal wealth. Crafting the terracotta. How did the Nok create such masterpieces? Their process was as sophisticated as their art. They sourced high-quality clay from riverbeds, kneading it with grit to prevent cracking. Using coiling techniques, they built figures layer by layer, sculpting with tools likely made from wood or bone. Firing the clay required precise control. Kilns heated over 700 degrees Celsius, a testament to their technological skill. The figure's stylized features, large eyes, pierced pupils, intricate hairstyles, suggest deep symbolism. Some scholars believe the terracotta represented ancestors, used in rituals to honor the dead or seek their guidance. Others argue they were portraits of living elites, showcasing status. Dr. Akinwumi Gundren, an African art historian, suggests the Nok figures may have been a bridge between the human and divine, a way to communicate with the unseen. Compare this to ancient Greece, where statues of gods and heroes served similar roles. Yet the Nok achieved this centuries earlier, in a region long overlooked by global histories. Their art wasn't just beautiful, it was a statement of identity, power, and permanence. The people behind the clay, the Nok were farmers, traders, and artists. They grew pearl millet, sorghum, and cowpeas. They smelted iron to craft tools that made their farms more productive, feeding more people, fueling population growth. Iron also meant weapons, and weapons meant defense or conquest. With iron, they could trade with distant cultures, exchanging tools and ornaments for salt, beads, and perhaps even gold. Cultural context. In African tradition, wealth is not only measured in gold or land, but in people, skills, and culture. The Nok's art was a legacy investment, meant to speak to future generations. A day in the life of a Nok artist. Picture a Nok artist, perhaps a woman, her hands caked with clay as she shapes a figure under the shade of a baobab tree. She is not just crafting art, she is weaving her community's story. Each curve of the clay, each carved braid carries meaning. Perhaps she's honoring a departed elder, or creating a figure for a festival where the village gathers to celebrate the harvest. The Nok's art was communal. Sculptors likely worked alongside musicians, storytellers, and priests, blending art with ritual. Their terracotta wasn't mass-produced. Each piece was a labor of love, a dialogue with the past and future. This investment in culture made the Nok wealthy in ways that gold alone could never measure. The mystery, why they disappeared. Around 500 CE, the Nok civilization vanished. No written records. No epic battles recorded. Just silence. Theories abound. Climate change dried the land, pushing people away. Exhausted soil could no longer feed the growing population. Raids from neighboring groups scattered the people. But the truth? No one knows. Wealth lesson. Even the greatest societies can vanish if they fail to adapt. Wealth without resilience is an empire waiting to fall. Unraveling the vanishing. What could erase a civilization so advanced? Climate data suggests that around 500 CE, the Sahel region faced increasing aridity. Rivers that once sustained Nok villages may have dwindled, forcing farmers to abandon their fields. Soil analysis from Nok sites shows signs of overuse, hinting at agricultural collapse. Yet, the Nok's disappearance wasn't total. Their iron technology and artistic traditions likely spread to neighboring groups, seeding new cultures. Some archaeologists propose that the Nok didn't vanish, but transformed. Their people migrating to form the foundations of later societies like the Yoruba or Igbo. Dr. Catherine Dandria, an archaeobotanist, notes the Nok's legacy is in their adaptability. Their tools and ideas outlived their villages, shaping Africa's future. This resilience is a reminder that wealth is not just in what you hold, but in what you pass on. The rediscovery and looting crisis. The rediscovery of the Nok Terracotta should have been a triumph. Instead, it sparked a crisis. Looters raided archaeological sites, selling priceless pieces on the black market to collectors overseas. Each stolen artifact is more than lost art. It is lost knowledge. Nigeria continues to fight for the return of these treasures, arguing they are not mere decorations, but voices from the ancestors. Quote from UNESCO: "Cultural heritage is not a luxury, it is a foundation. Without it, a people loses its memory." The fight for repatriation. Today, Nigeria's battle to reclaim Nok artifacts is part of a global movement. Museums in Europe and North America hold hundreds of Nok figures, many acquired during colonial times or through illicit trade. In 2022, Germany returned 22 Nok pieces to Nigeria, a small but symbolic victory. Yet thousands remain abroad, locked in private collections or museum vaults. This fight is about more than art, it's about identity. For Nigerians, the Nok Terracotta is a link to their ancestors, a testament to their ingenuity. Community leader Alhaji Musa Suleiman says, "When we lose our artifacts, we lose our story. Returning them is like welcoming our ancestors home." The legacy. Though the Nok people vanished, their influence lived on. Later Nigerian civilizations, like Ife and Benin, created masterpieces of bronze and ivory, echoing the Nok's artistry. Today, their terracotta inspires painters, sculptors, and architects. Their story is taught in schools as a reminder that African civilization was advanced, innovative, and wealthy long before colonial contact. The Nok in modern Africa. The Nok's legacy is alive in Nigeria's vibrant art scene. Contemporary artists like Yinka Shonibare draw inspiration from the terracotta's bold forms, blending them with modern themes. In Lagos, galleries showcase sculptures that echo the Nok's stylized eyes and intricate patterns. Architects incorporate Nok motifs into buildings, celebrating a heritage that refuses to be forgotten. The Nok also inspire education. Nigerian schools now teach about the civilization as a source of pride, countering decades of Eurocentric narratives. As art historian Dr. Paige Aleowola notes, the Nok remind us that Africa's history is global history. Their art speaks to universal human creativity. This legacy is wealth, not just for Nigeria, but for the world. It challenges us to rethink what civilization means and who gets to define it. The wealth of memory. The Nok terracotta figures are more than clay. They are time capsules, holding the spirit, skill, and pride of a people who mastered iron, art, and trade long before history remembered their name. Wealth is not only gold, land, or power. It is the memory we leave behind, the evidence that we lived, created, and mattered. The Nok have been silent for 2,500 years, but in their art, they still speak. The question is, are we listening? If you believe Africa's ancient stories deserve to be told, subscribe to Ancient Wealth. Follow us on social media and join the movement to keep these memories alive. Together, we can honor the Nok and ensure their legacy endures for another 2,500 years.